Hello, this is Whatcast, and I am Matt. I'm just going to continue with this flat Earth roundtable. I recorded my reaction. I've not watched it. It's like 3 hours, and I wanted to continue watching it. So I thought, well, if I'm going to continue watching it, I may as well continue reacting to it while I watch it. I've done about 40 minutes yesterday. I've left it where it's going to start where we left off. So let's get straight into it. This things like this really amuse me to react to, so I'm just gonna do it.
Honored to be here with all of you. I got great respect for all of you as well. I'm going to just share something I posted on Facebook. It's really short and quick, but I agree with the initial arguments when it comes to non-existent curvature and that the
I don't
Earth
even know
is
who's talking.
stationary,
Oh, this
fixed, and
pictureless guy.
non-moving. I wrote this in reply to Robbie Davidson. To anyone that is now convinced because of the final experiment that the Earth is a globe, I'll share with you what I shared on Robbie Davidson's
Oh, is this
profile.
evidence?
Robbie, you know I respect you, brother, but no matter what was shown in the final experiment, curvature is non-existent and water cannot adhere to a ball.
Oh my
These are
god.
facts that must be reconciled with.
Yeah, we've gone on. Everyone's seen this evidence, so it don't really matter. We're going to just dismiss that evidence because it doesn't work for me. But let me show you this other drivel that we've got over the years that I'm going to show you right now, which definitely does prove it. My evidence good, that evidence bad.
True evidence, no matter what we think we know of the cosmology. Do we have all the answers? No, but these are foundational truths that cannot be denied. Show me confirmation of curvature, or that the Earth is moving, spinning at 1,037 miles an hour, faster than the speed of sound, or a bullet shot from a pistol, and then we can discuss.
Is he being serious? Excuse me for the eating. Half the speed of the hour hand on a clock, right? Does that sound like the same as a speeding bullet to you? And as far as show me where we've seen the spin, 15 degrees per hour, ring laser gyroscope. Thanks, Bob.
Discuss the final experiment. This challenge goes to anyone part of the experiment or the journey. I'm willing to debate anyone on these three facts. 1, there is no curvature. The Earth is fixed, stationary. Number 2, the Earth is fixed, stationary, and unmoving. And 3,
is it like a script? This sounds like a new guy to me. This is one of the new fluffs that I'll debate anyone, bro. And here's my drivel evidence that I learned from Eric Debay the other day. No one can counter this arguments that everyone's heard 6 trillion times.
3, water cannot adhere to a ball, but must be contained in a basin. And once it is, its properties dictate that it will always settle in a level. How do you reconcile this? And so, you know, the whole...
Because the level isn't flat. That's how I reconcile that. And you know how everyone reconciles that. You just choose to pretend. It looks bored. Like, oh my God, they're using all of these arguments that I used to use 10 years ago.
Theme of what we've been talking about. And I'm sure that all of us here have tested for ourselves.
No.
And those that are in
how about none of you?
Dissonance. You
Cognitive
can go
dissonance.
out with laser pointers, mirrors, a stretch of flat body of water, and confirm that curvature is non-existent, even at 8 inches per mile. Not even inverted.
Oh, the 8 inches per mile again, the parabolic measurement that is accurate to some degree, but definitely not completely accurate. But they never take refraction or observer height into consideration when they make those measurements. This building should be behind 6 trillion tons of curvature. Tons? I don't know what I'm talking. I sound like a flat earther. Miles, even.
Inversely squared. And so this in and of itself negates the whole idea that the Earth is a ball or a sphere spinning through space.
Oh, God,
and the way that the stars have been situated, the Mazzaroth, the constellations, the way that they show and have been used by navigators for thousands of years to determine where north is, how parallax is. The stars have not changed positions, but they maintain a constant pattern, and they are moving at the exact same rate of speed. And the star trails, the video evidence of star trails, confirms that all of the luminaries, including the sun and the moon and the planets, the wandering stars, they are all moving around Polaris.
Yeah, and unless you're in the southern hemisphere, and then they're all moving around the Southern Cross or the point next to the Southern Cross where the rotation in the sky happens, which is absolutely impossible on any flat plane, unless you start talking drivel about refraction of 180 degrees, etc. Right? Nonsense. These people, it's like he's in the northern hemisphere, therefore we'll look at Polaris and we'll say all the stars are moving around that. So even if you're going to concede and say, okay, we're not moving through space and everything's moving around us, we're still on a ball. Regardless, I mean, all of that's bollocks anyway, but we're still on a ball because that's the only way you get 2 points of rotation in the sky. Other than the anything you're willing to accept to make that happen, which none of you can agree on.
They're not encircling the sun. These things can be confirmed and determined. I did a show just 2 nights ago talking about the star trails and how all that works according to perspective. And I came on just in time to hear Dr. Zach.
See, it's so easy to argue with a flat earther now because, like, literally, they've really exposed themselves. They used to have, well, they've never had reasonable points, but when they could pretend that the entire southern hemisphere was a lie, they kind of had an argument, but now they can't pretend that anymore. They just have to say perspective to everything. So every time I ever have any debates or conversations with flat earthers from now on, any evidence they give, I'm not even going to bother trying to see the ins and outs of it. I'm just going to say that's perspective, and they can just accept it because that's what they say to every argument of the real world that we observe all the time. The stars go this way here and this way here. Yeah, but that's because of perspective. No, it's not. Even if you're going to say they go a different way due to perspective, there's 2 points of rotation, 2 celestial poles that could not happen if the Earth was flat. And if it can happen, show it. You won't. You never do.
Speaking about what he has done in regard to perspective and the way that the firmament plays in to what we see as perspective.
The firmament that you all just accept, even though none of you have ever seen it or got any evidence of it whatsoever.
And I explained all this in that video that I put into the chat. I
bet you don't.
Definitely something that is that you need visuals in order to explain and get people to have that light bulb moment to make sense of it. But there is this celestial equator, and at the equator, and the way that the stars move in the opposite direction, reversing what seems to be course and pattern.
They're not moving in an opposite. This is why can't they understand? They're not moving in an opposite direction. They're moving in the same direction. But because we're on a sphere, there are 2 points of rotation. I could sit on this chair and spin around that way and look at the ceiling. And the ceiling would be going anti-clockwise, counterclockwise, whatever you want to call it. I could keep spinning my chair like that. And then as I look down at the floor will be appearing to be moving in the opposite direction. The floor and the ceiling are not actually moving in 2 different directions. And the center of the room is going haywire, going 2 different directions from each other. Everything's going in the same direction because I am going in the same direction. I don't know why this is difficult for people to understand. It's so obvious what's going on, but because that means they have to concede the point, they won't touch it. So they're pretending that the stars are actually going in a different direction because of reflection off of the dome that doesn't exist. So if that's the case, there needs to be a point in the middle that you see the stars start to go in different directions to each other. Show that.
All that is according to perspective, because they are not moving in the opposite direction.
None of these people understand perspective.
At the equator. So all that has to be reconciled with perspective. And I believe that without a doubt, the firmament has an important part to play within what we see and how we see it. And so, but also, and I'll just, after this, I can pass it to somebody else.
Please do. I'm slipping into a coma.
The fact that they were so quickly, willing to change their positions, even though they know still that curvature is non-existent and that the Earth is not moving at this insane rate of speed.
Why are they so scared of big numbers? It doesn't matter if the speed is a trillion quadrillion miles per hour, even though you don't measure rotation in miles per hour. If to dumb it down for a flat earther, if the speed of the Earth is a zillion miles per hour, but consistently a zillion miles per hour, you're not going to feel it. Throwing out all these big numbers to try to, I mean, obviously it works because flat earthers exist. And they go, oh, wow, like somehow they'd believe this if it was 1 mile an hour. Like somehow, like, if it wasn't 1,000 mile an hour, why would they tell anyone it was? Like, they could say anything, couldn't they, if it was a lie? Why would they make it sound ridiculous? Scale, people.
Is just absolutely bizarre to me. And so,
it's because you're thick as shit.
There's got to be something more to it. But of course, I'm always going to stand on the truth. And the truth is that curvature is non-existent. I'm sure that most of us here have done the experiment, and which is confirmable, repeatable. Anybody in the world can do it. The fact that you can see Oahu at 100 miles distance from Kauai, when there should be a mile of curvature, is impossible. The fact that you can see the Statue of Liberty from Philadelphia,
nodding along,
New York and New Jersey at 60 miles distant, when there should be a half a mile of curvature, that's also impossible according to the globe model and Helios.
No, it's possible according to the globe model. You just don't understand how to work out what you should see and what you shouldn't see. You get told 8 inches per mile squared, not realizing that squared's a problem anyway on a sphere, and you just work it out wrong and say that should be hidden without taking anything into account. No atmospherics, no refraction, no atmospherics. Don't worry about any of that. That's impossible. Why do I see those stars? That's refraction, atmospherics, and refraction and reflection off of the dome. Oh, I accept that. Well, I can see more of those buildings than it says I should with just the curvature rate. Yeah, well, you can't have anything with that one. We're not giving you any degrees there.
Centric Copernican beliefs. And so these things are undeniable. The people that build
someone chime in, canals,
will you? Bridges, they don't take into account curvature. They try to, in fact, keep what they're building as flat as possible.
Everybody listening to this,
the trek,
all of the people in this live have all said this stuff word for word 10 years ago.
Don't have to travel up hills or anything like that.
Look at Dave pretending to be interested.
There's a whole lot to what we were talking about and what we've been speaking about in regard to truth. And we just simply have to stand on the fact that curvature is non-existent. And if that is fact, and that is provable fact,
someone please interrupt.
The world cannot be a ball, cannot be a
Mark
sphere.
Sargent, you ain't spoken yet.
We're not moving as well, but that's a whole another topic.
Leave
the way that we see sunset when you go to the ocean and you look out over the horizon, and the way that they call it sea level, and you can see the sun setting in the ocean, and you have a pillar of
sun
light
what
all the way from the sun to.
What can you see the sun doing on the ocean? What does it do? I thought it didn't set. I thought it just went away due to perspective without getting any smaller, other than that one video that the Flat Earth Dave's got that you just all accept, even though none of you have seen that in reality. Dave's got a video. That's what happens.
Your eye, that's impossible if there's curvature. And
what, a setting sun? A setting sun's impossible with curvature, is it? But it's completely possible with no curvature. The sun would never set on a flat Earth. Surely you know this, right?
The use of radar, the railgun systems, all these
oh my God, all of these arguments.
Without a doubt, curvature is non-existent. And so,
yes, mate, we know you know the script.
Cannot be spherical, and that's just simply fact. And so,
simply fact
has to be built.
Awesome, Zen. For those of you that don't know, for those of you that don't know who Zen
never
is,
been pleased to hear Dave speak before.
On a bet about flat Earth. Globe, he took him to court, I believe, twice, and he won twice. Flat Earth won twice in court.
Look at that case.
Not that I'm saying that courts make the right decision, but it did happen.
Everybody go look that up.
Yes, and this was actually, something.
It's another lie they tell.
Came up in the discussion where we were debating over whether William Thompson, who was a Microsoft engineer, if he had actually won the money and if I had to pay him off. I have the court documents which confirm my testimony, and I basically said in court exactly what I said here. I brought up the evidence with, being able to see Oahu from Kauai, the Joshua Nowicki photo of which Rick, you and Rob went to the shores of Lake Michigan, took a boat all the way out to the Chicago skyline to confirm that that was not a mirage. I mean, these are, provable experiments that
confirmed it's not a mirage. How?
Blow away the idea that the Earth can be a ball, or that, curvature somehow plays into what we see. And that we can see beyond.
That's completely impossible. I'll tell you what's impossible, though. There's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica on any kind of a flat Earth. And the stars rotating around two different celestial poles in different directions due to perspective on any kind of a flat Earth. That's impossible. But should we not talk about that one? Just keep going on about this drivel of the Chicago skyline, which look different every single day.
What should be this, fictional curvature that somehow negates the fact that curvature is non-existent.
Wait a sec. Jump in.
Awesome, Zen.
Awesome. Shut up.
I think I want to toss it to Marty. I think he's next. But interesting, I didn't know that the person you went up to was from Microsoft. Again, Microsoft.
Oh, conspiratorial Microsoft. Why is Dave in charge of this? This is a Kingdom of Context, or whatever it's called, YouTube page. And Dave's decided he's in charge of this now because he's like the head flurf with the map. The map and the app that none of these agree with anymore, but they're all going to pretend they do because they want to be mates with Dave.
In this debate,
yeah.
Microsoft is involved in the Globe Lie on a high level. Again, Microsoft happened, right?
Micro, very soft.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Marty, you want to go?
Flat Earth
is that
humor.
All right?
Micro, very soft.
I guess I'm not sure who's
fan
next,
of
Sergeant.
Microsoft either, really. But.
And if anyone else wants to jump in, just jump in. Marty.
I don't know why they'd bother lying about the shape of the Earth.
Mind, I just want to say something about like the psychological aspect of this, because a lot of people are asking, like, what happened to Robbie Davidson? What happened to Jaron? And
they woke up.
I went to school with this woman that ended becoming like the producer for that show Brain Games. I don't know if you ever know that show, but they did this experiment where they basically had somebody walk into a room, and everybody in the waiting room, it was like a dentist's office or something like that, and everybody in the waiting room basically was all paid, right? And so what they did was mess with the person that was coming in. So what they did is they basically just all stood up together,
playing along,
and then the
they'll
person
stand
there
up.
was like looking around like,
yeah,
do I need to stand up, right? So they did this numerous times. Yeah, right, with the bell. Yeah, you would see. And so basically what you're looking at is social pressure. This is
kind of like what yous are all doing here. Social pressure. You're claiming Jaron social pressure. Jaron, who surrounded himself for 10 years with flat earthers. His whole internet gang was flat earthers. His social pressure was flat earthers. If there wasn't flat earth social pressure, this guy wouldn't still be pretending to be a flat earther, because he was also in Antarctica. And Jaron has been getting abuse from all of his former friends that he made over the years. If that's not social pressure, I don't know what is. And if he's resisted that, then he's not susceptible to social pressure, is he? He is, however, susceptible to the truth. And if you go see something that you was always told was a lie, and you can see it, you might change your mind. And he did. And so did he. But he's not ready to give up the social pressure of all of yous that haven't seen it just yet. But I think he will.
How most of this stuff happens. In fact, one of the reasons that you have so many of these AI accounts being made is so that they can create this sort of narrative that basically this is what everybody's actually thinking. Are you not going to think this too, kind of thing? So when you look at and give...
Yeah, but I've done a podcast for 5 years. We've done lots of conspiracy theories. We've been down every rabbit hole you could imagine. We've spoke at length about everything. And some things have got some credibility and some things are a load of nonsense. And there's a narrative with everything telling you what you're supposed to think. And if you're a real critical thinker, you don't just go with narrative. You look at your own evidence and see what you can discover. And most of the time, if you actually look into things properly and with an open mind, most of the time, not much is that sinister. And I challenge anybody to listen. And I used to be of the mindset that there was a lot of conspiracies and they are out to get us and all of this stuff. But when you actually have guests on that know their stuff, I can't even talk about the one I want to talk about because I know it's sensitive on YouTube, but I had my mind changed by a scholar of, let's say, September the 11th and things. Right? I'll say no more than that because I know it's so sensitive on the tube of you.
Let me give you one example of the social pressure that can absolutely turn you, because Alex was saying is basically like,
I love the way these people are all going to pretend now whilst all getting into a group. They can't agree on anything. They all disagree on the model. They disagree on everything. And they're going to start lecturing the rest of the world on social pressure, when the only reason that they're sitting there still after this model that's in the background of nearly all of them has been massively disproved, that it cannot work. They're literally socially pressured into still being in this group. It's a cult.
I'm not understanding this at all. I'm like, yeah, it's really hard to. But I think the one thing that does lead us into an understanding of this, and I'll give you a personal example. I had a friend a long time ago. I was really close with him. His name was Justin, and I worked with him. And I was getting him into a bunch of conspiracies. I started opening his mind. And one of the things that I opened to his mind about was chemtrails. So now, after I opened his mind about that, he wouldn't shut up about it. He was talking about it nonstop. He was talking about it at work. We would hang out. He would talk about it. Well, the problem with this whole thing is he had a bunch of normie friends, and none of them wanted anything to do with it. So here, after about 3 months of him just being like, look, this guy, oh, that's obviously not right. Then I moved away for like a year and a half, something like that, went back and talked to him. Next thing you know, he's like, no, I don't really believe in chemtrails anymore. I think it's just kind of stupid. And I knew at that point, why? Why did he switch? He was passionate about it.
Maybe because he looked into it further and discovered it wasn't that convincing because someone of a biased mind wasn't talking to about. And I'm not saying anything one way or another about that topic that you're talking about and what I think about that. However, sometimes you fall into conspiracy rabbit holes on the internet, and upon further research, you realize how stupid you were to do that. And that's happened to me quite a few times. And that is why. And Flat Earth helped me there, to be honest, because short story, we started a podcast. We did lots of different topics. We had all sorts of people on the show for guests. Everybody was willing to talk about their beliefs, no matter how bizarre they were. Loch Ness Monsters, Bigfoot, alien abduction, all sorts of conspiratorial stuff as well, ghosts, etc. People were willing to come on and just, we'd take the piss a little bit, we'd laugh and stuff with them, and people had a sense of humour. My mate suggested Flat Earth. I'd never heard of it. I started looking for flat earthers, and just by saying to a flat earther, will you come on the podcast and talk about flat earth? That is a reason to attack you, call you indoctrinated sheep, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, what is wrong with these people? They're all the same. They're all saying the exact same thing to me. I don't know anything about this. So I looked into it, and I got deeper and deeper into it, to the point that, because I'm not a scientist, I don't know what the globe claims or anything, that I started to look at it and think, I can't explain the questions that they're asking. I don't know. I can sort of see why people might fall into this. But then I started watching debates and started researching it properly and actually looking up the reasons for the phenomena that they couldn't understand, and then felt thoroughly embarrassed that I'd ever thought it was credible in any way, which got me attacked even more. And I've had numerous debates about it, etc. But the flat earther are a special breed that can turn you off of conspiratorial thinking just with their attitude towards you, by asking questions. Like the need to feel special, the delusional narcissism, the need to feel special is overpowering, overbearing, and it just makes it not a fun thing to talk about with people. I can talk about with the alien abductions and everything else. It's like, whether I believe it or not, at least the person's pleasant that I'm talking to, even if they're delusional. People that think they've seen Bigfoot, it's a fun topic to talk about, even if you think that they didn't see Bigfoot and they're delusional. But at least it's a pleasant conversation. At least if you say, mate, are you sure you weren't on drugs or whatever, they'll just laugh and go, no. You say it to one of these people, yeah, go and say, get another jab and, wave the Ukraine flag and all this nonsense. They don't know anything about who you are or what you believe, but they just put you in a box and shout the script at you and then leave. Insane.
About it, right? Peer pressure. All of his normie friends thought he was an idiot.
Normie.
He had to go to the bar, hang out, go to his job.
Well, that's an insult.
And sit in it while all these people are like, oh, you're an idiot, dummy, blah, 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 blah. And I just did a live stream on Sunday being like, the real man doesn't give two hoots about that, about social pressure or anything like that. You're never going to.
There you are. The real man is sitting there whinging about it.
Passionate about, that I know to be true, that are given to us by God Almighty. So when I look at the situation of Jaron and Robbie Davidson, that's what I see it as. A bunch of Jaron became the butt of an international joke. That's what happened. So now you look at that and it's like, well, why is he acting irrational?
Oh no, Flat Earth Dave's gone. Go.
I don't think Jaron had the
Flat Earth Dave's internet got bored.
I don't think he had the balls. When you went down there and realized that, hey, they were going to, what I think anyway, I think Dave might agree with us, is a big old scam, a big old trick. No, I do not believe that is a 24-hour sun down there. I believe in big circular suns, disc suns. I don't believe in squishy pants suns.
Squishy. So, someone explain how cameras work to this person.
Say about that is that's how I see it.
This is the problem again with this bloke, Mr. I believe in the truth. All I want is the truth. Don't know who he is, by the way, but I've actually, he's talking about squishy suns and talking about the sun changing shape in the 24 hours. I've actually, people said that to me. So what did I do? I actually went and spoke to professional photographers and they explained it to me fully. That's called doing your own research. Appealing to authority? No. Asking someone that knows what they're talking about is what that is, right? And it's all been explained. If any of you are interested, you could just go ask photographers why that happens. And you could just go ask photographers why, when you're trying to film something with it following the sun around in the sky for 24 hours, it might appear to change shape in some of the frames. But you won't, because you can pretend that they faked the sun but couldn't keep it circular with their extra expensive fake device. Just couldn't produce a circular sun, according to you.
A ton of social pressure, looking like an idiot, the butt of an international joke, and you're going to turn. And you also saw Paul in the plane do the same thing. I would put him in the exact same category. So that's just my take. So.
I love all the people nodding along with him there when he was saying about it was fake and it wasn't a real sun. All the people that saying it was a real sun and it's completely explained on a flat earth were still nodding along with him. Why do none of them stop and say, hang on, mate, that's bollocks. It was definitely a real sun, but we can explain that. And then they actually explain it. No, they're just going to go, that's right, yeah, fake sun, yeah, change your mind again now. But social pressure's not a thing here.
And I'll leave it there. So
good.
Hey Marty, on that note, real quick question, and what's it take off?
Yeah.
Okay. My curiosity is what were the conversations during that test? Not that this has nothing to do with the flat. Was there? I wish I knew. What were the conversations? Were they talking and comparing notes? I guess Witsit would have to answer that, or Elizabeth. Mark, maybe you could fill us in on that. Did you hear anything on that?
Mark
were they talking about flat Earth experimentation while they were down doing what they were doing?
Sorry. What I missed? I was watching chat.
When they were doing the TFE,
I was bored.
That observation there. I wonder what their conversations were about the flat Earth research that's been done in the last 10 years. Were they comparing notes? I'm just curious. But what's it's gone? I didn't know. I started asking the question before.
I heard nothing to that effect.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
that'd be nice. I just wonder
thanks for your time, Mark.
What the dialogue was. That would be kind of interesting.
Go back to sleep.
Can I use this time to chime in?
Yes.
Yeah. Go, man. Go.
Okay.
Go,
and again, I will do. I'm going to go with you guys on this one. I'm not going to delve into speculation. I'll do that privately or in interviews, but I will be doing that eventually.
Ooh. Hey, by the way, aloha to aloha. Aloha's here from Florida.
Oh.
So just want to say welcome.
Duckman.
Aloha, guys.
Aloha.
Before this happened, before that whole
trip
happened, I had no worries at all because they weren't addressing any of our major points that have already been covered and have been bulletproof forever. Which is like I never lost an ounce of sleep while everyone was traveling around doing all their stuff because, and you've heard me say it on different things.
I'll spit it.
It has nothing to do with all the things that built up the foundation that we've been on. It has nothing to do with physics. It has nothing to do with long distance photography. It has nothing to do with curve. And I used to say 100% of people don't get into it because of the sun. Now somebody actually wrote me. And it's like, I actually got into it because of the sun. Well, not the Antarctic sun, but no, the sun. So I can say almost nobody gets into this because of the sun. So if that's the case, why would I even worry about anyone getting out? A huge percentage of people get into it, back in the day, if we go all the way back, because of the curvature. That was it. I did not put that in the clues. When I made the clues years ago, all of a sudden people were messaging me. It's like, I ran to the beach, shot this lighthouse, shot this oil rig, shot this thing from long distance. Like, why are you doing that? They go, because water lays flat. I never even thought of that as a concept. I was, kind of enamored with the Orlando Ferguson map. And the people in chat, look, if you want to watch one video, restore something, watch the Black Swan video that I pushed out to people, which wasn't mine. It was given to me and I narrated.
The oil rigs, Black Swan. Yeah, that's never been debunked at all. That one is the completely normal. The fact that you're looking at two oil rigs and they're waving around in the air. There's no refraction going on there, even because oil rigs are built with wibbly wobbly towers sticking out the top of them. Yeah, that's not at all suspicious. That one's complete evidence.
Over the top of it, which was the oil rigs off of Santa Barbara.
Oh, it was.
It is damning. As far as the long distance photography thing goes, which is oil rig at 6 miles, oil rig at 10 miles. Real time. You're shooting this, and the big kicker was you see the horizon behind it, way off in the distance. No one can resolve it. No one wants to talk about it. How does that have any? How can?
I love the way they say nobody wants to talk about it. Yet I know exactly what he's talking about because I've seen it debated hundreds of times, and disproven hundreds of times. And other pictures of it on different days that look completely different. This is just the bullshit they come out. No one ever wants to talk about. Like, this is what they arm these baby flat earthers with, this evidence that they've, because no one will check that. So new flat earthers in the chat will listen to Mark Sargent there, and they will say everything he just said is true, and I'm not going to check it. No one ever wants to talk about that. And then people like me will go into a live or something on TikTok, and everybody in the comments will be writing, Black Swan, Black Swan, Black Swan, like I've never heard of it, and I won't be able to rebut it, and neither will anyone else in the chat. Not realising that it's one of the oldest topics that everybody talks about, despite what he just said, all of the time. And it's not at all frightening to discuss.
Anyone beat it? My point is that we created all these things that couldn't be beaten. And so they came up with something just fringe that it's like, oh, okay, this will get some sticking power, and then tied it to some people that in our community said, oh yeah, that seems like it's legit. And again, I'm not going to speculate.
Fringe. I love the way he thinks wibbly wobbly oil rigs from an undisclosed position with an undisclosed observer height that everybody just pretends proves everything. He's seen as legit evidence. But observing a 24-hour sun and filming it for 24 hours is seen as fringe, according to Mark.
Here, that's not what this is about, but that's what happened. And so now we're dealing with the fallout a little bit. It's still not as bad. I'm still not worried. Because the original arguments, I'm
still not worried yet. I've suddenly reappeared on the internet after years doing all of this stuff and the damage limitation, but I'm definitely not worried. I didn't even see this bloke forever, other than on his own show.
Thing that we built up until now has not been touched. I mean, come on, the ISS. We've been how many years? 10 years worth of destroying NASA. 10 years of destroying the ISS and the Apollo landings and the space shuttle program and everything that's tied to that. Years of long distance photography. And again, I will be gentle. Because somebody mentioned, I think it was D Marble actually mentioned, like, didn't Jaron do like an over the water long distance? Yeah, Jaron did a live stream from the Salton Sea when I was down there with National Geographic with Patricia, and Rob Skiba was there. Rob Skiba was running the camera for Jaron during that entire thing. So he knows full well where all the arguments, of course he does. He knows all the arguments everywhere. And so do the other people. So, and
he's decided they're all bollocks and that he did them wrong because he's now seen the reality of what this southern hemisphere is. Ever been there, Mark? Mark, I'd love to talk to Mark. How does Mark explain the 24-hour sun in Antarctica and the two celestial poles? I wonder what he would say to that. I bet it would be completely different to what everyone else would say. They've all got their own. It's completely, perfectly explained, but we've all got a different explanation for it.
Again, everyone in this room, we're good. By the way, another, I don't see Austin on screen. I know he's probably listening. Austin was freaking bulletproof. I knew this. He was only catching grief because of association, only because he was there, adjacent to other people. Look, I've got Lisbeth Acosta now doing co-host duties on Strange World. She's great.
She's great, but you don't let her speak ever. If you Lisbeth was the golden ticket winner for TFA, and the person that Mark had on, the lady that Mark had on his show, has decided that flat Earth is bollocks. Even though you never leave flat Earth, apparently. Once you've seen the truth, she's decided it's bollocks. So Mark's replaced her with Lisbeth, who's thinks it's going to help her out with her internet, making a bit of cash online, I guess. But these people don't do it for money; they do it for truth.
So I'm not worried in the slightest. Sorry, Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. Thanks, Mark. Marty, I actually lost connection. Did you talk about how the sky is immaterial versus a material ground?
No, I did not. I was basically just talking about the psychology of what I assume going on with. Yeah.
No, I hear him. I hear Marty.
He's good.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've been talking about for literally, I don't know how many years now, is basically, and I learned this from all these different cultures. It wasn't that it just matches your experience that everything upstairs is metaphysical, literally meaning beyond the physical. So one of the reasons,
Nathan desperate to get in, and no one wants to hear from him.
The moon landing, that sort of stuff. Beyond the fact that they're trying to lie to us about the shape of our cosmology and that sort of stuff. One of the other reasons that they did that is so that they could say, yeah, that's a solid object up there. We can land on it and drive cars around, and from that first, big, venture into space. From there, that's where we get the Mars rover, and that's where we get all of this.
Mars, all that. Anyway, I was promised I wouldn't go over half an hour today. I'm going to probably do all of this because I quite enjoy. This is how I'd watch it on my own. I'm just thinking out loud when they're talking. But yep, I'll do another one in a couple of days. Probably the next. I'm only sort of an hour in here of this 3-hour cope session. So yeah, cheers. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, etc. Blah blah blah. See you later.